2025 is one battle after another, one of the most overhyped, overpraised movies I have seen in recent memory. With words and phrases like masterpiece, best movie of the year, 10 out of 10, 5-star, get off me, 98% of Rotten Tomatoes, get off me. It's a showing for best picture at the Oscars, the most important movie of the decade. My God, Lord have mercy. Are all those words apt for this movie? Let's get into it. One Battle After Another is directed by the very prolific auteur that is Paul Thomas Anderson, a director that is responsible for making one of my favorite movies of all time, 1997's Boogie Nights, which, funny enough for those that don't know, was supposed to star Leonardo DiCaprio in the lead, but he had chosen to board the Titanic instead, and the rest, as they say, is history. In this movie though, Leonardo DiCaprio is in the lead in one of his most funniest performances to date, if we don't count The Wolf of Wall Street. And his physical comedy in that movie and this movie was so unexpected, but they were equally funny and such a joy to watch. For an actor that loves his dramatic roles, his comedic timing is sorely underrated. He is accompanied by a stellar cast of Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Tiana Taylor, and Regina Hall, who I will always remember from Scary Movie. It's apt that I showed that scene because during this movie, the entire cinema, including myself, did have to shush two women that did not want to shut the hell up. God, please give me strength with cinema goers these days. This movie tells the story of Leo's character, Bob Ferguson, a member of a radical group called the French 75 that went around doing various acts of retaliation against those they have deemed have done acts of injustice. Leo's character ends up falling for a very fiery, unstable member of the group called Perfidia Beverly Hills, played by Tiana Taylor, that ended up having a daughter called Willa, who is played by Chase Infinity in her very first feature film debut. And throughout the course of the movie, the acts of Tiana Taylor force Leo's character into hiding to protect himself, but more importantly, protect the life of his daughter. Only to have his past catch up with him, forcing his daughter on the run with Colonel Lockjaw hot on her tail, trying to get him out of hiding and, more importantly, kidnap Willa. So how is the most overhyped, overpraised, overly positive movie of this year? It is one of the most engrossing, high-octane, pedal-to-the-metal movies of the year. It's good, don't get me wrong, but is it worth all the praise? With a runtime of almost 3 hours, yeah. In all fairness though, for a movie that's 3 hours, it flies by faster than some 90-minute movies I've seen this year. When the movie does get going and the chase is on, the pace does not let up. And that is this movie's greatest positive. Keeping the tension and the tempo way up, only giving you slivers of release, which is much needed in a 3-hour movie. With acting that is very electric, entertaining, and different. Everybody's giving such interesting takes on their characters, with so much added flavor and them chewing up the scenery whenever they are given the opportunity to do so. With the main focus being Leonardo DiCaprio, followed only by an amazing feature film debut by Chase Infinity. With Sean Penn giving us one of his most animated roles of his entire career. The guy is so weird in this movie. And one of my fave actors ever, Benicio del Toro, doing what he do effortlessly. The movie always has something happening in the scene. The characters are always moving forward. One problem ends, another begins. And when it does slow down for any reason, the moment we get back to it, it goes from cruising in 4th gear to hightailing it in sports mode. Didn't mean to scare you. And it's almost safe to say that the movie doesn't slow down once it gets started. And it's one battle after another. I know. Stop. Bring it down. We're in public. Now, when it comes to the plot of this movie, this isn't breaking any new ground. Nothing here is going to make you say, oh my God, this movie has done something no other movie has ever done in the history of cinema. The character dynamics and motivations are a tour de force, masterful. This is a benchmark for movies going forward. Chill. Don't get carried away, it's not all that. And that's not a bad thing at all. At the heart of the story, at the core, it's a rescue movie. It's a father doing his absolute best to save his daughter, and will go to the ends of the world to do so. And we have seen those movies, and we will be seeing those movies after finishing these movies for eons to come. Story-wise, it's not going to get the moniker of most original, but that doesn't play into why you are enjoying this movie. The story might be a tad bit thin, but how you choose to tell that story and what kind of performances you can get out of actors who we have seen for years is what matters most. This movie is well aware of that fact, and it excels in all categories it can excel at. The story unfolds in an almost ADHD Adderall kind of momentum to it. Added to it that frenetic pace, making you feel just as agitated as Leo's character in the movie, and your boy is agitated for most of the runtime. Leo carries this movie, in my opinion, very well. The movie doesn't rest on his performance alone, but the energy he exudes keeps you on his character's wavelength, and it makes the audience experience a little bit more engaging. You know, it's quite funny that Leonardo DiCaprio won the coveted Oscar for The Revenant. A role by all means is great. Amazing acting, amazing performance. I will give him that. It just didn't go, oh my god, out of his entire filmography, give him the Oscar for this one. His best, in my opinion, the magnum opus acting showcase of his entire career will always be The Wolf of Wall Street. And this might be a hot take, but I think Leo deserved it over Matthew McConaughey's Dallas Buyers Club. Easy. And I love Matthew McConaughey. Big fan. He's a great actor. If you haven't seen True Detective Season 1, treat yourself. But acting-wise that year, Leo got robbed. It's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you think otherwise. And if I was to rank Leo's best acting, number 1 would obviously be The Wolf of Wall Street. Number 2 would be Calvin Candy in Django Unchained. God damn was he good in that movie. And number 4 would be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
And I would put one battle after another nicely at number 2. No hesitation. For the majority of time that he is on screen, he is always in a heightened state. Breathing hard, looking around, rolling on the ground, crawling on the ground, talking fast, shouting fast, arguing, being irritated about every possible thing. And as far as I can remember, in his entire filmography, I've never seen him have a performance like this, which added this novelty effect to it. And I was happy to see that when he did eventually get to work with Paul Thomas Anderson, he brought something new to the screen, not something that he has done before. And I appreciate that. Chase Infinity, who plays his daughter in the movie, also did a very good job in her very first feature film debut. What a way to go, landing a PTA movie in your first go-round. Chase Infinity has to go toe-to-toe with Leonardo DiCaprio and have Sean Penn right in her face, like right here, right next to her nose, and shouting at her, and has to make sure that she delivers her lines properly. She nails it, in my opinion, playing someone thrust into a situation she knows close to nothing about, and has to grow up really fast over the course of the movie, and almost be a secondary parent in the presence of an actual parent who is Leo's out-of-touch, paranoid, given up on life, bum character. When we meet him later on in the story, he's not a bum character throughout. I think she brought those scenes justice with amazing back and forth. And when the scene requires her to think on her feet or rise to the occasion of the moment, whether it's emotionally or the physicality if needed, she holds her own, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing much more of her in the future. Sean Penn's villain Lockjaw, I'd say in my opinion, is the most complex and peculiar in the entire movie. And everything he does makes him even more strange and peculiar. And the mannerism Sean Penn gives the character make him even more off-kilter, weird, and peculiar. And this is definitely one of, if not the most out there character Sean Penn has ever played. He is, however, the one that feels like he belongs in a totally different movie. That's how animated his character feels. I do mean that in a positive manner though. Funny enough, Tiana Taylor's character, Perfidia, seems more like the most horrible person than anybody else in this movie. And that's saying something once you see Sean Penn's semi-racist character. She's playing a very stuck in her ways, stubborn, selfish, egotistical archetype that needs to push her to the limits to get more of a thrill out of what she's doing in life. Not taking everything as serious as it should be, and that sometimes lands her, more often than not, in the unlikable camp. The performance from her though is very engaging, rough and tumble, and in your face. Acting wise, no complaints. Benicio del Toro plays Sergio, an ally to Leo's character, and throughout the movie he has this calm urgency to him. The scene may be manic and high paced, but his character is always taking things one step at a time, doing his best to get things done, never losing his cool no matter the chaotic scenario, and keeps uttering to Leo's character, "Ocean waves, brother, ocean waves." And if you want effortless charm with a sprinkle of magnetic cool, Benicio del Toro does it real good.
Excuse me.
My bad. Does it best is what I meant to say. And the score/music by Johnny Greenwood is acting more like a heartbeat to the movie. At the start, the tempo is kind of slow. And the more and more revved up the plot becomes, the score follows suit, playing with your nerves in the best way possible. There's a car chase on winding roads in this movie that feels like you're on the first cart on a roller coaster ride, up and down, slow, then fast, then faster and faster.
I say, God damn, what a rush!
That gets so elevated by the music and it adds this glorious tension to it. One of the things I'm looking forward to the most on second viewing. I have seen all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies except for not sitting all the way through Phantom Thread, but I do know how the movie ends. And out of his entire filmography, Boogie Nights still being my absolute favorite of his. That movie is just vibes, man. One of the most rewatchable movies about the adult film industry. If there's any other, I would love to know. It goes without saying that Paul Thomas Anderson is one of the best directors of his generation, but his movies are not made for the widest audience demographic imaginable. Boogie Nights is an awesome movie, 10 out of 10 to me, but it's an R-rated movie about the corn film industry. Not exactly family friendly. Magnolia is a sprawling character epic that's nearly 3.5 hours long. That everybody should experience at least once is a good movie. Again, not for everyone. Punch Drunk Love has an amazing Adam Sandler performance and such a funny Philip Seymour Hoffman. Rest in peace, brother. Very sweet and quirky movie with a positive charm to it. One of the sweetest rom-coms in my opinion. Unfortunately, was not very successful with the audiences. And let's not forget an amazing streak of breathtaking, awe-inspiring, expertly acted, immaculately crafted character drama showcases. There Will Be Blood might be his best ever and one of the best American movies ever made, hands down, with one of the best performances by an actor ever. If there ever was an actor that deserved an Oscar, it was Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood. But with all that being said, none of his movies have ever landed in let's go watch that 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the cinema, wait in line, blockbuster category. Not that box office equates to quality, it for sure does not. Some of these movies over here, they crossed 1 billion. They are very lucky that they crossed 1 billion. They don't deserve it. But I do think One Battle After Another might be the first time that Paul Thomas Anderson made a movie that has the widest appeal and can land in the category of entertaining to the masses. And even dialogue-wise, outside of his best, this movie, a lot of the dialogue is very funny and very entertaining. Most of, if not all the scenes with Leo and whoever else is in the scene with him once the chase begins are absolute scene stealers. The skit about the code word or the code phrase that he needs to say to get the information was so good. I wanted Leo to cook in that moment to see what else he would have come up with because it was by far the funniest part in the movie. And like I said at the start, I think this is Leo at his comedic best. There are several scenes where he falters and makes very human mistakes. Added to that, all his quirks and nuances that are very spontaneous and erratic made everything so much more funnier every time that they needed to be. And when the time calls for you to feel sorry for him because of how out of touch he is or the slob he has become, you're sympathetic to his plight. Leo knows how to switch between emotions like a pro. He's been doing this since he was a kid. There's a reason the guy is one of the greats of his generation. But this movie isn't without its problems. It is far from perfect. Contrary to what you might hear about this sublime movie, it has got its negatives. To start with the first problem, the movie loses a lot of its momentum when Sean Penn's Lockjaw is invited by this powerful, shady, racist group that he himself, of course, has aspirations to join to further his own career. A cult-like brotherhood, elitist, 1% private boys hate club. And this group doesn't get fleshed out all too well in my opinion. All we know is that they are all powerful and can dip their hands whenever they choose and can pull the strings whenever it's needed. Whenever this racist group shows up, it spoils the acceleration of the movie and pumps the brakes to its almost perfect pace. And during these scenes, if there was any pertinent information that needed to be heard, I couldn't because the two women in the cinema decided to raise their volume and talk about whatever nonsense they were talking about like they were seated in their very own living room. To all the talk in the cinema, men and women alike, I ain't sexist, I hate you all equally. In the expensive world that we live in, that's not getting any cheaper. It would behoove you to go and talk over some cheaper, overpriced coffee than it would be at the crazy overpriced cinemas. So please go have a cup of coffee, or matcha, or those frappa-lappa-dappas, save money, and save us the aggravation!
Okay, fine, I'm cool, I'm fine.
But yes, back to my point. The shady cult group do have some reason for existing within the story, which I can't get into here in the non-spoiler section, but because we don't see more of them, I feel like their scenes could have been shaved down a little, since the movie's already 3 hours. Another aspect I thought they should have spent a little bit more time on is the relationship between Leo and Chase Infinity's character. We have a very brief and funny moment with them before things get going and our adventure starts. I would have liked maybe one more scene strengthening their bond. But then again, the movie is almost 3 hours, so what I would have liked is maybe cut out some scenes with the racist cult group and add some scenes with Leo and Chase Infinity's character. Hopefully we can get a director's 3.5-hour cut that adds more to their father-daughter relationship. I wouldn't mind that. Now I want to get into some character stuff and theories that I have, but they do contain spoilers, so I'm going to be putting up a spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. The reason I say Tiana Taylor's character is a horrible person in this movie is because while in a relationship with Leo's character, she cheats on him and gets pregnant. And with Leo being none the wiser, he raises his daughter and loves her with all his heart. Now, did Perfidia cheat on Leo with another member of the group? No. She cheats on Leo's character with Colonel Lockjaw. Yeah, Sean Penn's semi-racist Lockjaw making Willa Sean Penn's daughter. And Lockjaw now has a vested interest in apprehending his daughter because if he wants to be part of a racist elitist group, he cannot have a mixed-race daughter. You do the math. And membership is more important to him than being the best father that he can be. What a parent. And Perfidia at the start and throughout the movie uses her sexuality to entice Lockjaw while with Leo because she can and she enjoys the power. And during the course of the movie becomes more and more selfish and narcissistic. Even at one point becoming jealous of her daughter because she has become priority number one over her. Apparently, people have forgotten the fundamentals of being a parent in this movie. During this narcissistic time, she robs a bank, shoots a guard, and innocent runs and gets caught and then rats on all her friends in the French 75, which causes Leo and the daughter on the run, which sets us on our way. And over the course of the movie, Willa is made to believe that her mom is the freedom fighter of all freedom fighters, only becoming privy to the fact that not only did her mom rat on her family, but she was sleeping with the enemy, and the enemy is her father. And after her terrible ordeal of trying to be eliminated by her birth father and saving herself with her own ingenuity and resilience, at the end Leo, who still doesn't know that Willa is not his and that she is Lockjaw's, and that Willa now knows that her mom ratted on her people, in the closing of the movie, Leo gives Willa a letter from her mother, telling Willa that she's always been thinking about her, but yet only wrote the letter the one time. Even though she never died. They show her escape witness protection but never die. So she's still out there enjoying life, writing one letter in 17 years. In this letter, Perfidia tells her daughter that she can carve her own path and do what she can do to change the world just like she tried to do back in the day. You blew up buildings, shot an innocent person, ratted on your family and friends, and mothered a daughter with your arch nemesis through infidelity. Honestly, you shouldn't be giving any advice. Just a thought. But after Willa is done reading this letter, she gives her father, the one that matters, Leo's character, a big emotional hug. And my interpretation of this hug is not that he shared this letter from her mother with her, but that even after everything their mother had done to destroy their lives even further, he still wants her to see her mother in the best light, which is she had to run to protect her and that she was a good person. And to me, that letter doesn't mean much for who Perfidia is as a character, but who her daughter is and who she has become. And how she loves her father for keeping up the lie of her mother, not knowing that Willa knows the truth. Because it would be the right thing to do in his eyes, and that hug was her knowing that her chosen father was doing what he had to do to try and keep her memory a positive one to her. That stood out to me. I think she despises her mother at the end and wants to be nothing like her. But she does go to a rally at the closing of the movie, so she must have some respect for her mother and not total resentment. Families can be so complicated, am I right? I think this is one of the year's best movies. Highly entertaining, consistent pace once it starts, very well acted by everybody, that I actually want to see again and see what I missed on the first viewing. So it gets a very good 7.6 out of 10. Not the 20 out of 10, 5-star best movie of the year, probably gonna win best picture, masterpiece. Overhyping this movie seems to be getting. Man, can the internet go absolutely nuts for every movie that comes out these days. That just goes to show you the state of movies and cinema right now. Anything that has an ounce of thought or care put into it becomes the best movie of that year. And everyone just loses their minds. Cinema for you in 2025. It's good, it's entertaining, I'd recommend it, which I am, but it's no masterpiece. But a movie is art, the best kind to me. So if this is your masterpiece, you go ahead and enjoy this masterpiece. I don't, nor can I dissuade you otherwise. You enjoy your masterpiece and life is too damn short. But let me know in the comments why you think it's a masterpiece. What did you love about it? What did you hate about it? And most importantly, what is your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie of all time? You already know mine. I want to know yours. So until next time, my wonderful people, if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, hit the notification bell to be notified for my next video. And as always, peace, love, and I'll see you when I see you.